Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Alex Flood. Thunder Bay City Council has a relatively light agenda Monday night for their first meeting since the approval of the 2022 budget. One item of note will be a presentation outlining the year-end review from Tourism Thunder Bay. It will help council members and the public better understand how the second year of the pandemic impacted visitors coming into the city. Tourism manager Paul Pepe will be providing the update to council and says while the pandemic continues to cause difficulties, there was still good news that came from 2021.
Even though the times were tough, we still saw some bright spots. And so, Monday night's report to council is really a balanced scorecard for the year on the challenges and the issues continuing to plague and face the industry through the pandemic, but also really highlighting and celebrating some of the positives that we also saw in the sector.
There will also be a preview of what to expect this year, as many are hoping for more visitors and a big tourism recovery in 2022. The Ford government is investing some serious capital for the future of Fort Frances. Minister Greg Rickford, who also represents the community at Queen's Park, announced $2.7 million in funding for 4 different municipal assets, with more than half of that dedicated towards upgrading and improving the town's Memorial Sports Centre. Adam Riley has the details.
It's only 22 years old, but the Memorial Sports Centre in Fort Frances is getting a massive overhaul with an investment of $1.7 million from the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation. The announcement came Monday from Kenora Rainy River MPP Greg Rickford, who also serves as the chair of the NOHFC, which underwent a restructuring over a year ago to make it easier for communities to access funding. He says rec centres are the heart and soul of a community and play an important role in the health and well-being of residents.
I always like to say that the smaller the town or city gets, the more important the recreation facility becomes to them. That's how kids go on to play in the NHL or the Scotties Tournament of Hearts or swim on an Olympic team as we have out in Kenora.
Upgrades to the facility include the replacement of its pool, the expansion of weight and cardio rooms, and the installation of new change rooms, including a gender-neutral change room. Rickford was joined by Fort Frances Mayor June Call, who says recreation and culture are one of the more expensive aspects of municipal services.
We have to rely on funding like this to be able to manage to upgrade in any way or refurbish anything. So this is going to go a long way to helping us finish the project that was started last year as well.
That project is part of a $5.2 million endeavor funded by all 3 levels of government. Several other municipal amenities were also on the receiving end of support Monday, including $376,000 to improve the docks and security at the Sorting Gap Marina and $466,000 to build an extension to the Fort Frances Senior Centre. Call says that extension will make it much easier to host events at the centre.
I help out with a local bingo that goes on every Friday for the seniors, and sometimes they almost have to stop and wait for people to stop talking because they're all in the same room and the people who are listening for bingo calls can't hear what's being said.
Last but certainly not in the least, Rickford also announced a $148,000 investment for the Fort Frances Airport. While the airport in nearby International Falls remains popular due to flight availability, he believes Fort Frances can be competitive and says the town was realistic in its strategic plan for modernizing the airport, adding it will play a role in the pandemic recovery.
Airports and air travel has been one of the hardest hit sectors in the pandemic, so pre-positioning that airport to be a place for larger planes to land and a safer, better piece of infrastructure for that kind of commercial activity, I think is an essential part of their plan.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
In less than 2 weeks, the Dryden Police Service will be no more as the Ontario Provincial Police takes over the duties in the small city. Last year, Dryden Council voted in favor of disbanding the municipal service in favor of the OPP, citing long-term cost savings. However, the city will still be on the hook for disbandment costs. Dryden CAO Roger Nisbet says there is still a lot to look at from an equipment and infrastructure standpoint. But he notes the DPS building, which has been deemed unusable by the OPP, will have a temporary tenant in the coming months.
Conversations are ongoing with leadership, municipal leadership, on what the building will be repurposed to. Nothing definite yet, but conversations are ongoing. We will be using that location as a temporary City Hall location when we do the renovations here on our building on the Van Horn location.
Nisbet says council looked at a proposed budget for disbandment and takeover costs in November and will take another look at that budget this month. The official handoff from DPS to the OPP will take place at 12 noon on February 24th. The Regional Health Sciences Foundation is donating $1 million in proceeds from the Thunder Bay 50-50 draw to the Our Hearts at Home campaign. The fundraiser has been extremely successful in raising money for the Hospital Foundation since it started in early 2021, with millions of dollars going to purchasing equipment and other upgrades at the hospital. With February being Heart Month, the foundation will be allocating $1 million in 50-50 proceeds to help bring cardiovascular surgery to Thunder Bay. The addition will allow local heart patients to have their surgeries without traveling to Southern Ontario. The Our Hearts at Home campaign was officially launched in 2019 with a goal of $14 million. The latest donation now puts the total raised at over $16 million.
This is a tremendous contribution to the Our Hearts at Home campaign. You know, we're really working hard to bring cardiac surgery and full vascular surgery here to Thunder Bay. And as sure you can appreciate, the last few years costs I'm sure have been going up, so we need as much money as we can to make that a reality. So $1 million commitment from the 50-50, it was beyond our wildest dreams.
Craig says there's still no timeline for when the expansion will begin for the new cardiovascular surgery unit. In other news across the north, the Sault Area Hospital in Sault Ste. Marie is launching a new digital program for its mental health and addictions care that will allow the hospital to expand its outreach programming. CTV's Christian Davino has more.
Patients in mental health and addictions care are now able to access their personal information from home using a smartphone, tablet, or laptop. The Sault Area Hospital is the first in North America to make the remote monitoring switch by using Seamless MD, building on what's already worked through the pandemic.
We started with our surgical transitions remote care monitoring program, and we've had a lot of success with it. So when we had the opportunity to branch out into mental health and addictions, we certainly took advantage of that opportunity.
The idea was born through the pandemic and will remain when life returns to normal. Dr. Tran says he's been looking for ways to expand the hospital's coverage area for mental health.
And this augments the services so that people don't have to travel to the hospital or any bricks and mortar clinic and still have access to services.
The Seamless MD founder says he's also in touch with other organizations to bring the service to their facilities.
We talked over the years about growing the use of Seamless MD into mental health, but this is, finally, I think there's enough interest in making that happen.
Right now, only people with personal devices can use the service, and the hospital and Seamless MD are looking to change that.
I think, in partnership, we'll have to do some hard work to make this available to as many folks in the region as possible. But as long as we get it in their hands, I think we can make that connection available, and it's going to have a really positive impact.
The service is live, and Seamless MD says it already has an eye on expanding the service into chronic care. Christian Davino, CTV News, Sault Ste. Marie.
Skiers and snowboarders layered up and hit the slopes today, even with an extreme cold warning in effect, making the hills over at Mount Baldy ski area a little too cold for comfort. With temperatures around -35 this morning, hitting the slope is not everyone's first idea, but for quite a few outdoors enthusiasts, today was the perfect day to try out the tubing or head down some of the runs, especially with the community favorite Lookout Run now open. It did slightly warm up later today, but we talked to some locals on the hill about why they decided to strap in for some fun on a day most people would rather stay inside where it's warmer.
There's not as many people, and I just started snowboarding. Today's my first day here at Mount Baldy, and I really wanted it not to be so many people because I really get embarrassed easily if I fall and stuff.
It's just the enthusiasm to do the skiing, it's just, you can't give up. You only have a few weeks left, and might as well go for it.
If you dress warmly, it's not really too cold, so it doesn't really hurt. And the chalet is inside, and I can get hot chocolate or poutine or something.
The season is going to be over soon, so might as well get out there. And had fresh powder 2 days back, but because of the cold, it was not that fun. So I thought Baldy would be a better place. We've been up to Log, but
It's a little icy there, so we drove all the way here.
And with it being near the end of the season over at Mount Baldy, skiers and snowboarders seemed very determined to get out on the hill as much as possible, even with the chilly conditions. Joined now with Kurt Black. Kurt, one of the biggest sporting days of the year. In fact, probably the biggest sporting event of the year for sure. Man, what a game.
I'm still thinking about you saying chili there and just making me think about all the snacks at Super Bowl parties, the nachos, all that jazz.
Yes.
But yeah, the game stole the stage. We'll have all the highlights right after.